Rachel, and originally from Chicago, and I moved down here in 2007, and I actually moved back to Chicago for a year, and then he convinced me to come back, so I did.
I'm John Levasseur. I'm from Bangor, Maine, and then I moved to Colorado and grew up out there. Went to college at the University of Wyoming, and then moved out to Charlotte, where I've been for 25 years.
So I had my amputation September 21st of 2018, so almost a year ago. And I had knee surgery August 7th that same year. And about 2 days later, I got compartment syndrome. I woke up and my foot was completely numb and swollen. My leg up to my knee basically was swollen. And we weren't sure what was going on at first. And so they took me down they thought maybe it was a blood clot. And it ended up not being a blood clot. It was compartment syndrome. About 3 weeks after the fasciotomies, I went in and they had one of my muscles, my anterior muscle, was dying. So they had to go in and clean it up and remove some of it. And then about a week and a half later, they had to remove some more. And it came to a point where I didn't have any anterior muscle. So they said, you have a choice. You'll have drop foot. Probably you'll have drop foot for the rest of your life because you won't have that muscle to pull your foot back. Mm-hmm. We can keep doing what we're doing, and you will have a brace. You'll wear a brace for the rest of your life. We can keep doing what we're doing with the fasciotomies and hoping the swelling will go down. And we can try having you go to a hyperbaric chamber 5 days a week for 2 hours a day and see if it will help that other muscle on the opposite side. But you're never going to get that other muscle, your anterior muscle, back. And they said, or your other option is to amputate below the knee. And you can be high functioning if you amputate. I worked for Microsoft at the retail store, and I was working there, and I also was a fitness instructor.
Right, so very active.
Yeah, I was very active, and I taught a lot of cycle classes, and I did some other like primary group classes, like boot camp classes, stuff like that. There was one summer where I was teaching about 9 classes a week. So
wow.
Yeah, I was teaching a lot.
So active, and then the surgery.
And then the surgery. It was a roller coaster when they had told us that, here are your options, and everybody at the hospital was great. I mean, the vascular team, everybody was wonderful. But when your options are limited and you just want your life just to go back to the way it was, and that's really all I wanted. I just want my life back to the way it was. I want to be able to cycle again. I want to be able to go to work and just live. I want to be able to do laundry and vacuum and do all the stuff that I was doing. Mm-hmm. And that's why I knew I needed to make the decision of amputating rather than being low functioning and wearing a brace. It was very emotional. I think it took me, I cried about it when I first, that, horrible, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me, cry. Mm-hmm. I think, he got me through it, a lot of it. The support from my family got me through it. The support just from even my friends and people saying, you can do this. It's life-changing, but you can do this.
And the reality was I couldn't protect her from what had happened and what we now had to go through. What I realized was we were fighting a battle really on 2 fronts. We were fighting a mental battle with, her state of mind and can she continue to do the things she wants to do. And then we were fighting the physical battle of how much of her leg are we likely to lose, because we didn't know if it was going to be above the knee or below the knee. And that would change functionality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
that's a big deal.
We were really pushing hard to try and keep her high functioning. We were very fortunate to have a lot of good doctors working with us, and we were able to get kind of the outcome we needed.
And I was there for 18 days after September 11th. So I got out of the hospital September 29th. And had the amputation September 21st. So about a week later, after the amputation, I got out. And the first person who I talked to about when he had his amputation, he was above the knee. Kelvin actually brought in a couple other people to talk to me too, and one of them was Natalie, and you know Natalie. She's they
just sat right here.
Yeah,
and Robin did.
And Natalie was great. She was very, made sure, she just seemed so confident about everything. Yeah, you can do anything. She horseback, was a horseback rider, and she played softball, and she did all this stuff, and she's
knowing that was possible was helpful.
Yeah, just knowing that was possible was reassuring. I'm driving, and that's another thing. That was a challenge. I just had to make sure I allow myself enough time. I'm not in a rush, because it's very hard to lift up your prosthetic and be in traffic and hitting the brakes every 2 minutes. And but I just make sure I just drive really carefully. I give myself enough space with the car in front of me. And it's not even myself that I'm concerned about. It's really kind of the other people around me that I'm concerned about. The people who don't turn on their blinker, or the people who cut you off.
Right.
So I got my temporary prosthetic in January, like late January. And it was amazing to walk for the first time. I mean, yes, I was
when you stood
using a walker, but I was just the fact that I can just put one foot in front of the other,
ambulate,
was great. It was a great feeling. Now I have my permanent prosthetic, where before the other one I had was suction, and now I have my permanent, and it's vacuum, so it's a little bit more secure.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's great. I love it. And I have a workout foot, and I've got like a regular everyday foot, and I've got another foot for when I want to wear different heel height shoes. I remember even when thinking about having the amputation, I was thinking, how am I going to look to him? And how is he going to feel towards me? And that was what I think I was most concerned about, how he was going to look at me. But everybody else I didn't really care about. It didn't really bother me if other people were like, oh my God, she's got a prosthetic.
Yeah, you had a kid looking at you the other day.
Yeah, I even waved to him, and his mom just was like, don't. And I was like, it's okay. But that was probably the very first challenge. There are some challenges that I have, like when we go to the gym, there's challenges there, but those are really it. When like the other stuff, the day-to-day stuff, it's not really a challenge. Like I can lift heavy boxes at work now, even though they don't want me to do it. I'm like, you guys aren't all back here all the time, so I'm gonna lift that heavy box and climb on that shelf that you don't see me climbing on. So yeah, there's things like that.
So you've gotten back, last time we spoke, you wanted to get back to exercising more regularly, you wanted to get back on the bike. How has that progressed for you?
It was going well for quite a while, and then I had built up some scar tissue on the very bottom of my limb. So especially getting on the bike, I was having issues with that. We had gone to Chicago, and when we were on our way back from Chicago, I had gotten some really just excruciating pain where I couldn't even walk. And so I spoke to a couple of people about it, and I started going to massage therapy, and that seemed to help a lot. So I was able to get back on the bike and start doing what I was doing before. So it hasn't been, I've been going probably about 4 days a week, which is, I'm okay with that for now.
Take good care of your limb and, go slow a little bit from time to time.
Yeah, and now I have to prioritize. Like if I know that I'm going to be working all day from 9 to 6, I won't be able to work out that day because I will be putting so much pressure on my limb throughout the day that I'll have to go home and I'll have to rest. And then this way I'll be fine for the next day. So I have to prioritize a little bit more what's more important. Okay, well, you're scheduled from 9 to 6, so that's really kind of more important than working out for 45 minutes. I was in the hospital, I prayed every day for patience. Please give me the patience and the strength to get through to the next day. And yeah.
So it was really day to day for you.
It was day to day. It's day to day. Now I'm starting to, it's more of a routine now. So it's just gotten a lot easier now. And I don't have any problem sleeping at night. At the very beginning I did. I think just because of what I went through with the fasciotomies and all of that. And
nurses every 4 hours.
The nurse, waking me up every 2 hours. But you get home and, sometimes you wake up in a cold sweat and you're like, where am I? And you think about, sometimes you'll think about, what you've been, what you've gone through. And so nighttime can be kind of weary, but I think if you are just patient and realize that tomorrow's another day, then you can get through it. The Amputee Coalition has been helpful. They have there's a support group that you can go to, and because not every how often do you run into a person who's been an amputee? And it's helpful because you know that you're not alone. And even people who know somebody, like a family member who's an amputee, and if they've been close to them and they've been with them throughout the process, that's even helpful because they know what you're going through. Like I never felt alone even when I was in the hospital because he was always with me. He always knew what was going on. So I never felt alone.
I think it was Anita who said it best. No one can tell you about your journey or your pain because it's your journey and your pain. It's going to be different. It's different for everybody.
Yes.
But she said, there are other people in similar circumstances, and that's what I think the coalition community is about.
You always think that, this horrible thing happened to you, and then you're sitting next to somebody who got hit by a drunk driver, or somebody who was a diabetic, and everything that they've had to go through. And so everybody has a story, and it's okay to share that story. But I think a lot of people there, they know what you're going through when you have an amputation. As
you're going through that decision process of having an amputation or needing an amputation really for your circumstances, I mean, it's really difficult. As I said earlier, it's kind of it's a battle on two fronts. You've got to fight a mental battle and you've got to fight the physical battle. And for me, paying attention to her mentally and kind of where she was and what she was feeling was really important to not letting the process change who she was. My view of the whole process is it's incredibly difficult and it's emotional, and your body kind of betrays you, so you feel rocked to the core. So I think it was really important to pay attention to that mental and physical state equally, so that she could come out of it unchanged and still be who she wants to be.
So what was your experience with, or what has your experience been like with the Prosthetic and Orthotic Institute?
It's been great. Kelvin's he's been there since day one.
Right.
He listens very well. Any issues that I've ever had, I go to him and these are my concerns. This is what I'm looking for. I remember when he first came by and we talked about all the different feet. He wanted to know what was important to me. And so I said, I just want to get back to what I was doing before. I want to be able to work out again. I want to be able to go to work. I do inventory. I need to lift, 40 pounds or so. And I need to, I've got about 100 pairs of shoes upstairs that I would like to get back into. So,
And you wanted to cycle, and I mean, it was really an interview, and we talked about this. We talk about this a lot. They kind of became our advocates, right?
Yes.
Because you're unfortunately fighting a battle to get back to functioning at the level you want to, that maybe not everyone in your care process is aligned behind. Your insurance companies or others might not be aligned behind. So having an advocate who will fight for you
yes.
was critical.
Yes.
I mean, no matter what anyone says, you have to have that, because at the end of the day, if you want to be higher functioning, or you want to, be able to sit on your couch and be comfortable, whatever it is you're trying to get to, whatever state you're trying to get to, there are folks who are opposed to letting you get necessarily to where you want to be. I think the Prosthetic Orthotic Institute was key in helping us find the right providers to wrap around our issue and make sure that we got the resources we needed at the end of the day.
I remember there was another time where he wanted me to test out a couple of workout feet. And then I had my one foot where I can change the heel height on it. So I was getting ready to go to the gym, and I was at work, and I was going to go to the gym right after. So I made sure to bring all my
Spare leg,
my workout foot. And then I noticed that there was a height difference from my regular everyday one to my workout one. It was, I don't know, like a few inches. And so I text Kelvin, hey, I've got a little problem here. And so he calls me, FaceTimes me. Okay, show me what you have. Show me he walked me through. I was changing pipes on different feet and different, it was kind of funny.
Moving parts.
Empowered you.
Yes,
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, I can do it.
My wife can use a tool. It's amazing.
Now I have absolutely no problem figuring it out, and I thought for sure at the very beginning, I'm never going to figure this out. I'm never going to.
It took a little while.
It took some time. I mean, there was one time where I even I stripped the screw on one of them, and Kelvin had to come over and bring me like another pipe because I had stripped it, and we were going out that night, and I said, I'm going to make it work for now, but whenever we can get this taken care of. And he was over the next day and brought over the piece that I needed. He just happened to have it too in his bag.
Yeah, we got lucky.
I got very lucky. If your will is to get back to work, or I want to just even go out to dinner with friends, make it happen. 'Cause you'll get there. It will take some time, and be patient. Just being able to do that. And I mean, I didn't care if people were looking at me that I didn't have a leg, it didn't bother me. And I was just happy to be out amongst the living.
Right.
Because you can get sucked into wallowing in your own misery, and it's not a good place to be. It's just it can change your life if you stay there. So it's best to just get out and have the will to even just do your laundry. I knew that I didn't want what was going on to change me or defeat me. And I just needed to just push through, and I had no reason to be angry or have any animosity. And I knew that I just wanted to get back to doing what I was doing before. And I had to just have the strength to do it.